Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Cieron and I'm from Splend, and we're one of London's fastest growing PCO firms. And we're dedicated to supporting drivers like you with everything that you need to become successful on the road. And today we're going to explore a very commonly asked question that we get from a lot of newly onboarding drivers with, Uber and Bolt, for example, inexperienced drivers who are currently in the application process with TfL, and also drivers that just need a refresher. So what is that question? And the question is, how do you apply for your PCO license in London? So today in this video, we're going to discuss some of the key entry requirements that you need to be able to pass in order to initiate your application. We're going to discuss some of the processes involved, and we'll also discuss some of the costs that are involved with the process. So let's start with the essential criteria that you need to be able to initiate your process of application with TfL. Now, the first one is an important one. This is your age and driving experience. You need to be at least 21 years old and have held a full driving license for a minimum of 3 years that has either been issued from the UK, Northern Ireland, or an EU state. It's important to note that if you've had a license exchanged from a non-EU country, unfortunately, TfL do not count this towards your 3-year period. You must have the right to live and work inside of the UK, and you must also be able to pass medical assessment. Now, this medical assessment needs you to meet the DVLA Group 2 medical standards, which is a slightly higher standard than if you were just to hold a regular standard driver's license. And this will mean that you will need a medical examination with a doctor to assess your full medical history. You must be what TfL term of good character, and you must be what they term fit and proper. So you'll need to undergo an enhanced DBS criminal record check, and this is issued through or authorized through TfL's authorized provider. So there, we've just discussed some of the key criteria that you'll need for your entry criteria in order to initiate your application with TfL. And now we're going to discuss some of the application requirements, and whilst also discussing some of the costs involved. So the entire process is largely handled online, and we recommend that you create an account with TfL where you'll be issued access to the platform and you'll be able to see your application's progress to date. The application fees is initially £124, and upon granting you the license, there is an additional cost of £186 at the end of the application. Unfortunately, the fee is non-refundable, so we do recommend that you make sure that you're entirely ready to proceed in the process. Secondly, you'll need to undergo a DBS check. Now, this DBS check, there are 2 versions that you can take. There is an online version which costs £52, and there is a paper version which costs £54. All new applicants, so if you've never undertaken this process before, will need to register to the DBS Update Service, and this costs £16 annually. Next, there is a tax check, and this is a major update from TfL. So if you have held a taxi or a private hire license within the last 12 months, you need to complete what they call a HMRC tax check, where you'll be issued a 9-character code, and within your portal inside TfL, you'll be able to submit this code. If failure to provide the code will result in failure of your application. You'll also need to be able to provide overseas criminal checks if you have lived outside of the UK for a continuous period of 3 months or more in the last 10 years. Resulting in this, if you do this, will mean that you'll be provided a certificate of good conduct from that country where you have had that residence for that 3-month period. There is also some mandatory assessments that you'll have to undertake, and the first of these is a topographical assessment. Now, the topographical assessment tests your knowledge of London and your ability to be able to navigate the roads and plan routes around the city. This costs £36. There's also a 2-phase English language assessment, and the first of these is the SERU assessment. Now, it stands for the Safety, Equality and Regulatory Understanding, and this costs £36. This test tests your ability for reading, writing, and all of those language skills there. It also tests your ability for the safety and the understanding of the regulations involved for being a PHV driver. The second part of the assessment is a speaking and writing and listening assessment. Now, this can be handled over phone or via phone link. You'll need to pass both of these assessments in order for your application to be successful. Next, and lastly, there is a medical assessment. This is set often by your examining doctor, so we recommend going to your GP, and the cost for this can typically range between £80 to £150, and dependent on your medical history, can often be more. It's worth noting that before your SERU assessment, you are expected to complete an online safeguarding and awareness training course. We recommend doing this as this is also covered in the SERU test. Now, when you're going through these assessments and submitting information into the TfL's portal in your application, we do recommend that you check your writing, spelling, language and grammar, as often TfL have very strict guidelines on what they do and do not accept in this area, so failure to do this correctly may result in delays with your application. Now, should you pass and be issued your license, you will actually then have some new responsibilities. And one of those is self-reporting any arrests or any driving offences within 48 hours. Again, failure to do so may result in cancellation of your licence. Now, totaling all of the fees together, so we just explored each of the assessment costs. Now, the total for this is around £477. Typically, if you have a slightly varying medical history, this can range from either £557 up to £627. And again, it's just worthwhile noting that if you have a slightly extensive medical history, the cost could be slightly more. The process is open to everyone, including those with disabilities, and TfL ensures provisions and exemptions can be made on an individual case-by-case basis. And once you have your license, Splend offers a smarter way to drive. We offer PCO-ready vehicles that are fully EV. They come with all-inclusive packages, including your insurance cover, your servicing, your maintenance, replacement vehicles, and all of the other good stuff that you'll need to be successful on the road. These are handled in one simply weekly payment, and this means that you'll have less stress and a greater earning potential, alongside unparalleled support from our PCO experts. So if you're ready to take the next step in your PCO career, we recommend visiting splend.com today and learn how Splend can help you hit the road running and help you with a thriving career as a PCO driver. We hope that this video offered you some value, and we're here to support you every step of the way.